Let's go, Broncos country. Day 2 of NFL free agency. Will our beloved Denver Broncos rebound from what was a rough day yesterday and make a couple moves that then leave us thinking that this roster has improved in some ways? That's my hope. And yeah, today we're going to be drinking the orange and blue Kool-Aid. Y'all be sure to get in here, like, subscribe, join the chat. I'm going to talk not only about George Pickens, but some other targets that I would love for us to go after in free agency. Of course, let me know what you guys would want to do at this stage, but let's go ahead and get into it, guys. So I think we got, when we include draft picks, we got about 10 million, 15 million, somewhere between that in cap space right now. Not great. We'll see what these numbers with J.K. Dobbins and Adam Troutman and all that come out to be. But the Broncos can still make a move, man, to go out and get a weapon for Bo Nix. And George Pickens is still available, guys. It's been a little while since we've talked about him, but the Cowboys have franchise tagged him. There have been rumblings, of course, that they're looking for a second-round pick, maybe his second-round pick and some change for him. And got to remember, man, like George Pickens is super young. He's only 24 years old right now. He's one of the premier wide receivers in the game. And the Cowboys also need some help on defense as well. And I think that there are a lot of different pieces that the Broncos could send over to the Cowboys for George Pickens. And again, you sign him to an extension and get that cap number low this year and really, man, go for it in trying to get to the Super Bowl this year and win it. Now, there are a few things that we could attach. First, obviously, you start with pick, what do we got? 62, I think we got right now. So that would be our second round pick. Maybe you attach that with the Saints' fourth if the Cowboys are mainly interested in just having draft capital. But where do the Cowboys need help? They need help on the defensive line. They need help at linebacker. They need help at defensive back. All those positions, well, we're kind of weak at linebacker too. We can provide them with an edge, such as Jonathan Cooper straight up. That would be interesting. Okay. Then it would allow Jonah Ellis to come into the starting lineup. Maybe then you're able to bring in somebody like Cam Jordan because he's not going to replace JFM. He's an edge guy. So that maybe that's how you mask that losing Jonathan Cooper a little bit. Okay. We've talked about Riley Moss. Now I think we're probably going to keep Riley Moss. But the idea of trading Riley Moss for George Pickens is pretty interesting because we got to decide soon if we're going to be extending this man and paying him. He's in a contract year. Do we want to start to divert some of our spending over to the offensive side of the ball? That would be nice to see. And you could do that saying, hey, we're not going to pay Riley Moss here in the future. Let's go ahead and go and get George Pickens instead. And you know how much our front office loves to draft cornerbacks every single year. Jahdae Barron, Chris Abrams-Drain. I still think they can hold the shit down and probably won't get double-digit pass interference penalties this year. But I think this would be a really fun move, man, to go out and get George Pickens. It has been quiet on the George Pickens front right now. You haven't heard anything about contract extension talks, any of that developing, at least that I've seen with the Cowboys. And I really do feel like they just tagged him in order to see what they can get for him on the trade market. Now, we do have a few comments in here. There are a few other players that I want to talk about. Appreciate you guys. We'll get in here. North Face saying we need an established playmaker, somebody who can create separation. A 50-50 wide receiver is situational. It's very true. I'm all for George Pickens, man. And George Pickens is a freaking beast. He's instantly the best wide receiver we've ever had here since Demaryius Thomas back in his heyday. But this man, with CeeDee Lamb on the team, had 1,400 receiving yards this year. one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. 9 touchdowns. And yes, he's a fantastic separator, especially at his size at 6'3". So he fits that kind of mold that Sean Payton loves. Maybe he's a little diva. I don't care, man. We got a bunch of nice guys on the team, and nobody's giving us 1,400 receiving yards, man. Nobody. And again, he's so young. Okay, I guess he just turned 25 last week. He was 24 before that. But yeah, just turned 25 last week. Happy belated birthday, George Pickens. We'd love to see you in orange and blue. He would be fantastic. Now, I've gone over the contract numbers for A.J. Brown before. If they were to do a swap with Courtland Sutton, maybe attaching some draft picks or a draft pick with Courtland Sutton for A.J. Brown, it actually becomes pretty advantageous for both the Eagles and the Broncos in terms of like cap hits on both players that they trade for. A.J. Brown still has plenty of gas in the tank at 28. Maybe he's not going for 1,500 yards here in Denver. But again, like his cap hits, if you trade for him this year, you save like $1 million compared to keeping Court. And then after that, his cap hits are like $11 million, 17, $18 million, something like that. Super affordable, especially as your wide receiver one, right? This is something that I think would be pretty fun. There are premier playmakers available, like you guys are talking about. Rodney's saying here, I'm all for George Pickens. That's great. Yeah, the cost of getting one of these guys right now, it was never going to be in free agency. It was never going to be in free agency. It was always going to be in the trade market. And that hasn't changed. Even with the other signings that, we've made or haven't made over the past couple days, that remains constant. Getting a wide receiver one for this team has to be done through the trade market. And maybe that's the big move that everybody is praying for. With what we've done so far, haven't done, there's this big move coming. Now, I don't know if that's true at all, but hey, it would make sense from that regard, right? Like, okay, we're going to re-sign some of our guys, and then we're going to make this big move for George Pickens, for A.J. Brown. Computer Blue, cool name. He's saying we need a good slot receiver. Well, I am glad you have brought this up because George Pickens, he can be that. He can be that for us if we need. He can play in the slot. He can play all over. Definitely can. Let me go ahead and pull up his snap share stuff. Well, I guess he can. I thought he had more snaps in the slot there in Pittsburgh. But he played 10% of the snaps this year in Dallas on the outside. That would make sense. And if we need to move Courtland Sutton over to big slot, I think we can do that as well. But I do believe George Pickens can play all over the field. And again, he's just fantastic. He's a great player. Now, another guy that we could go after that would not be in the trade market, but still is available. But I don't know. I just don't feel like we're going to make a run at him, even though he gets cheaper by the hour right now, is Juwan Jennings. I thought that he would be a day one free agency signing somewhere. I think Spotrac had his market value of like $22 million a year, something like that. Now, Juwan Jennings doesn't provide you with maybe that upside that A.J. Brown and George Pickens do, but a guy that can play all over the field. This one is for you, Denver Trav. Go subscribe to Denver Trav, Tennessee guy, big Juwan Jennings fan. But, man, really, he's a tough football player. He can get yak. At this stage, it's growing on me, even though I would prefer these other guys that we're talking about. George Pickens, A.J. Brown. But Juwan Jennings is a good player. Is he better than Courtland Sutton at this stage? Maybe in terms of an athleticism standpoint, right? And I do like the fact that he's 6'3". But the other guy that we need to go after, indefinitely, similar to Dallas, I think the Broncos have a lot of different pieces they could trade over to Jacksonville to make this deal work. Brian Thomas Jr. I still believe he's a generational talent at the wide receiver position. Now they're probably wanting like a first round pick type of value, and that's where things kind of get tough if we're talking about draft capital. But could we do a player for player swap? Could we do a lesser draft pick and a player attached? Again, they need secondary help. They need defensive line help. I would prefer to keep guys like Owazurike right now after losing Franklin Myers, but hey, if that gets it done, that's kind of interesting. And like I said, we got a handful of edge players that are pretty interesting. Dondrea Tillman is a nice depth piece. Q Robinson, I would like to keep him around, but if you can package him in a trade for Brian Thomas Jr., that's interesting. Would you do a Jonathan Cooper straight up for Brian Thomas Jr.? That's interesting. I would probably do that deal because I really do believe that Jonah Ellis is a starting caliber player on a very good defense. But again, then you kind of sacrifice your depth a little bit. But hey, Von Miller wants to come back. You can have him be a depth player. That would be kind of cool, I guess. That's the only way I'm cool with bringing back Von is if we move off of somebody like that to go get a big time weapon. But yeah, I mean, in 2024, he was generational. He was generational. 6'4", 205. He's got all the tools that you want. Almost 1,300 yards playing with Trevor Lawrence, who, sucked before this past year. Brian Thomas Jr., he's the kind of guy that I would love here. And yeah, he can play in the slot. He can play all over. He will dominate you. He's 6'4". So yeah, the big time trade targets right now: George Pickens, AJ Brown, Brian Thomas Jr. These teams, these agents or whatever have put out word that these guys are available for trade. You got to find the price that gets it done. You got to find the assets that gets it done. Denver's in a fun situation here to where they're deep at certain positions that a lot of other teams in the NFL aren't. And I mean, a lot of these other teams are deeper than us at, when it comes to their weapons. So let's even this thing out a little bit. Like Brian Thomas Jr. would be a lot of fun. George Pickens, of course, would be my top guy. He has proven, and he has proven it with horrible quarterbacks, and he has proven to be like a top 5 wide receiver when you get him a Dak Prescott. Imagine what he could do here with Bo. I think that would be great. So I'll get to a few more of your comments. Moss in a second makes a lot of sense for Pickens because you're right. We're not going to pay Moss next year. I don't think so. Like, I just don't think we will. And again, like this would, you got to make it work for Jerry Jones, man. And this is the wild card, man. Like you got no idea what Jerry Jones is going to think. You have no idea. The fact that he traded Micah Parsons last year and then was trying to get Max Crosby for 2 firsts this year just shows that his decision making like changes on a whim. So if you're able to sell him that Riley Moss is like one of these premier corners, it probably would work had he like gone to Arkansas, but he's an Iowa guy. I don't know. Logan coming in here saying, dude, no to Pickens. He's too good. It might not be a pastor in the locker room. Oh my God. We need old shitty locker room guys. You got to start thinking like George, man. Yeah, man. Who would be that guy? Again, who could we sign in free agency that's like that? Maybe Jawan Jennings is like that. I don't know, but for his price, he could be a good value at this point. And again, he's 6'3". You can play him all over the field, and you can still get the yak. I think he's a good player. Now, it doesn't really move the needle for me in terms of like bringing him in and saying he's your wide receiver 1. I don't think that, but I think that he's a really nice piece that helps the offense. But yeah, we need a little bit of attitude on this team. We need a little less, this team's been given a lot of Jerry Jeudy vibes lately, man, with all these players getting on Twitter. Dude, if Jerry Jeudy said what Adam Troutman said, man, It would be the topic of radio all day. 5280 Playbook saying George Pickens is not getting traded. Most likely. But you can put a trade offer out there that can make a decision tough for Jerry Jones. We got to start praying to the football gods, guys. But this is the only thing, man. Like, we resign all these guys. We didn't want them back, but we still got room to make a big move in the trade market. And that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, it says it's a pipe dream. So y'all let me know, man. Who are some other trade targets that we could have? Brian Thomas Jr. Again, I feel like this could be a lot of fun, man. And he's still on a rookie deal, so super low cap hit. And AJ Brown's contract is totally manageable if you trade for him. I really do feel like Philly's going to try and move him this year, and maybe the Broncos can be rewarded for like the closer you get to the draft when it comes to this, right? Because they probably want picks this year. That would make sense. Computer Blue saying, honestly, we need to get big plays. I think we need people to help move the ball consistently, like a good running back, a slot receiver, a competent tight end. Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about keep an eye out for Taysom Hill. His contract voids later today, I think at 4 Eastern. And Taysom Hill is like one of these pieces that I would be pumped up about coming here because he helps limit the quarterback scrambles for Bo, and he limits, Adam Troutman's usage like on the field. He can still be that glue guy on the sideline. And yeah, I still think Taysom Hill is a hell of an upgrade over the tight ends 3 and 4 that we've had over the past however many years. All right, I am getting a notification here. Raiders are sending Geno Smith to the New York Jets. Oh, God. I'm sorry, Jets fans. That sucks. We got, Romeo Doubs to the Patriots on a 3-year, $60 million deal. Wow, how about that? $20 million a year for Romeo Doubs. Good job, man. I probably wouldn't have paid that. Mike, what's going on, man? He's saying it's over. No, man, we got to switch up the energy. I do believe A.J. Brown is more likely than Pickens to be traded. I don't think Dallas only tagged Pickens to try and trade him. They really like what he brought to their offense last year. Yeah, and I don't blame him. Again, you got to, Jerry Jones apparently wasn't trying to trade Micah Parsons last summer, but the Packers just gave him an offer that he couldn't refuse. Same with the New York Jets and the Colts when they trade for Sauce Gardner. We got to come up. Obviously, we're not trading 2 firsts for George Pickens. You got to find what that line is. And then, yeah, this is where we're aggressive, right? We're not just aggressive in signing our own guys back. Alan Lazard, oh my God. We weren't too far away from talking about bringing guys like that to Denver, man. Eli, Geno Smith is a Jet. He's back with the Jets. How do you feel about that? We'll see what happens with Juwan. If he's getting 20 million plus, I feel not great about that, but okay, he does improve the weapon room for the next couple of years. Now, if you could get him more close to like a $15 million, like a Mike Evans type deal that he just signed in San Francisco, that's interesting. But then why didn't San Francisco just keep him? I'm not really sure. Cam Jordan, it doesn't really work, man. He doesn't I thought maybe that he played some snaps on the interior, man. No, man, he's a fully outside edge guy, man. So that only makes sense if we move off of one of our edge guys. He's not going to be, 36 years old or whatever, playing a new position for the first time in his career. Okay, Xavi.net saying BTJ and Garrett Wilson are the 2 wide receivers that I think can be long-term trades that make sense. Great idea bringing up Garrett Wilson. We'll go ahead and pull up his page too. Very good wide receiver. If he had a competent quarterback, he would be consistently talked about as like a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. I believe that. And a guy that would fit like a glove in this offense, man. He can play all over the field, play all the different positions. And again, he's similar to Brees Hall. This dude is generational. Look at the numbers he's put up with the New York Jets, and Eli Betts knows this. Look at the numbers he's put up. His rookie year, 1,100 yards, 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards. Now, this past year, he was hurt more, I believe. No? In 2025? Yeah, he was hurt. He was hurt, and the quarterback play was god-awful. Man, he's not Justin Jefferson, but I think he can. I think there are pathways to him being the best receiver in the league. I do see that eventually. Maybe that's a hot take. But man, I love Garrett Wilson. Now, who would cost more? Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Brian Thomas, AJ Brown. AJ Brown won't cost nearly as much as these other guys. But man, we could offer Jonathan Cooper, Riley Moss, some of these other guys. Again, a lot of these teams with these premier offensive weapons, their defenses absolutely suck. So, I mean, we got some guys that we could offer, whether they're starters or depth players, depending on what the rest of our offer is, to really, up the ante and get things to the finish line here. But will we do that? I don't know. We know we'll be in the mix. And my Discord is really popping off right now. Let's see what people are saying. So Marky Sports is saying 20 million for Dubs. What's the cost of Jennings? I guess that would be like a 4-year, $70 million deal. I don't know, man. Jennings is 28. I really got no idea. All right, we'll get to some more of your comments, guys. 5280 says we need to keep Cooper. He's going to have another great year. I prefer to keep Cooper. Again, the only reason I would ever move off of him would be to get like a legitimate weapon, a guy that's transformational for the offense. Because man, I don't know how much longer Cooper will be here, man. And maybe he's here another 2 years or so. But Jonah Ellis, again, maybe I'm higher on him than most, but I do see him as a starting caliber player on this defense. What genre do you think the Broncos are in free agency right now? I think they're a comedy. I would say like Midwest emo in terms of the fan base. George Pickens is not the answer. Well, tell me who the answer is. Yeah, we need a dog on offense. No one on this offense besides Bo has that mentality. No. And I like JK, but him going at people on Twitter that are calling him injury prone, which he totally is, that's Jerry Jeudy stuff, man. That needs to stop. Adam Troutman talking to Chris Thomason about how he deserves this contract and all the haters can suck it. Again, it seems like we got a lot of guys on this team that are super sensitive to what random ass people like you and me got to say about him, man. That's not a good look. We just need guys like George Pickens here that just know I'm a dog. I don't care like what else anybody says. And so they're not even going to get my time to respond. I just know I'm amazing. We don't got any of those guys outside of Bo Nix. We're dead ass doing nothing. That's how it feels, man. That's how it feels. Denver Broncos just made a big splash in free agency, man. They got a mascot, man. Oh man, Miles is a good mascot. Hell yeah, baby. Gino is back. The tank from Arch Manning is on. Eli, I don't know if they'll end up being as good as it sounds, man. I'm a Manning guy. He's got to show a lot this year at Texas, man. And I mean, his mechanics are whack. Tank Dell, that's a good idea. He's injury prone, but we have shown that if you play on offense and you're injury prone, we're willing to make that bet. Oh, so it's a 4-year, $70 million deal for Dubs? Okay, 23 a year. Wow. For a guy that's never had a 1,000-yard season? Wow. At least Alec Pierce got 29 when he's gotten better every single year, put up 1,000 yards this past year. Honestly, I know you say this as a joke and it's funny, but I would love to have PJ Locke back here, man. I would have much rather had him back here than Troutman, freaking Atkins, obviously Singleton. Yikes. But yeah, PJ Locke, he's a quality backup safety. Maybe we address that in the draft with our 9 picks. I doubt we finish with 9 picks. My guess is that we probably have 6 picks in this draft. Hopefully we're using some to trade up and be aggressive in the draft. That would be kind of cool. Yeah, Ellis has a higher ceiling than Cooper for sure. Cooper also tends to ghost some of the games, in my opinion. Yeah, I do wonder, again, it's not an excuse because if you're on the field, you're expected to be productive. But I do wonder if he was playing through some serious stuff this past year. Obviously, he's tough as nails. We've seen better stints from him than what we saw towards the end of the season. But yeah, Joan Ellis, man, he's freaking awesome. Now it's 4 for 80 for Romeo Dubs. Okay. I mean, down to 20 a year, but yeah. Now 5280 says PJ Locke is one of my favorite players. I also love Adam Troutman. His deal is very similar to Jake Bates. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Troutman will make a cool catch every now and then, but I think ideally on a Super Bowl winning team, he's your tight end 3, right? And I just don't. I would have a lot less of an issue bringing back Troutman if this was for like a 1-year deal. And it's like, yeah, like, okay, he can be that tight end 3, but you're not giving your tight end 3 a $3 million contract or a 3-year contract, He did sign for cheaper than some of these other guys. But I think it's also clear that we're going to get what we pay for, Dude, Darian. My man. That's right, guys. We got a lot of good guys on here on this team. We need just 1 or 2 guys just with some slight. Okay. In Stefon Diggs' case, it's not slight. He has legitimate character concerns. Okay, but man, this guy can still ball. He can still ball. You can get him for a great deal, hopefully, if the legal stuff is all that goes away. Stefon Diggs, man, 1,100 yards this year. A big reason why Drake May was in the MVP race. Only had 5 touchdowns, but again, man, he can play all over the place. About half his snaps came in the slot this year. He would be a perfect fit for this offense, and we were in on him last year. So does not drop the ball either, and that's something that we need. Contested catch rate, 75% this past year. Quarterback rating when targeted, 109.1. And let me see, how many drops do you have? He had 3 drops on 120 targets, or 129 targets. So essentially, or 120 targets. Essentially, 2.9% drop rate. That's great. Stefon Diggs is awesome. He would probably come cheaper at this stage in his career and with his, rap sheet or whatever for much less than what Jawan Jennings would cost, and still would probably have some more upside. Remember, I mean, Devontae Adams signed for a nice deal, 2-year deal, because he doesn't have those concerns. He still balled out for the Rams this year, man. Again, he's not a saint, and he does sound like an absolutely horrible human being. But you can't just win the Super Bowl on the power of friendship, man. We need to bring somebody in here that's a difference maker, whether it's Stefon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., George Pickens, all these guys. And I promise you, if they ball out, we're winning the Super Bowl. Now, this is a great one. If the Broncos decide to trade up in the draft, I think some of you guys asked this earlier in the chat. This would be pretty sick to go and get one of these top wide receivers. Let me go ahead and pull up the big board so we can kind of go through them all. I wasn't expecting to be talking draft right now, but that's where we're at when we when we haven't brought in anybody new. Our draft needs are still the same. So when we take a look, let me see here. So Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, these guys probably won't be available. Wow, Omar Cooper has shot up. And yeah, he would, Andy, guys, I've come around. Omar Cooper, I'm okay taking him with our first round pick. Jordan Tyson is a guy that I'm obviously a huge fan of. Always believed in him during his time at CU. Got healthy at Arizona State and played freaking awesome. This guy is your Justin Jefferson light. I love everything about this guy. Denzel Boston. He would be amazing here. 6'4". I like my wide receivers very tall. Now, Casey Concepcion is the only one that's under 6 feet. But man, this guy's a playmaker. This guy changes the dynamics of our offense. I would be cool with going up and getting any of these guys. That would be a lot of fun. Now, Sadiq would be pretty freaking cool. I got a feeling Sadiq's going top 10 now, man. With how we saw the tight ends ball out last year in the first round, yes, Sadiq maybe isn't as well-rounded when it comes to the blocking, but neither of those guys ran a 4.40 last year. It would not surprise me if the Chiefs take him, somebody else takes him in the draft way before Denver can even get their hands on him or getting up in striking range to go get him. But I do think with how the draft board falls, Denver will have an option of getting one of these guys right here. They'd have to trade up for Jordan Tyson, but they could go and get Omar Cooper. They could go and get Denzel Boston. Maybe Concepcion is there at 30. I'm a big fan of him. Biggest concern is drops. After that, a lot of these guys, man, I don't know. Maybe, Marquee Sports is really big on Skylar Bell, but I know little to nothing about him right now. I know Chris Bell's a freaking beast, but he tore his ACL in November. I like Chris Bell a lot, though. He's my kind of wide receiver, man. So we could do that, but honestly, my hope was that during free agency or in the trade season, we would take care of our weapons, because I really do feel like this would be a good draft to go meat and potatoes, to go offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, tight end with a lot of these picks. We're at the point right now, at least going into the draft, where we're going to have to spend some of these premier picks, at least at running back. We might just run it back with this wide receiver room. That's not the worst thing in the world. Some of these guys are still so young. They can improve. It's not ideal, but I can get behind it if we go out and get a Jonah Coleman, or we get like a true difference maker at the tight end position. Yeah, but I'm a little worried that one of the trade-offs to us not really being aggressive during this point before the draft and getting anybody from a weapon standpoint is that we're still going to be kicking the can down the road when it comes to reinvesting in the trenches. Give me 1 second, guys. Got to respond to this message really quick. Okay. Let's see. I can tell you 90% of Casey's drops were not by him whatsoever, and he made all the plays. So you are an Aggie. You are an Aggie, 5280. I will, I'll be cool with it. I'm down here in San Antonio, so I am meeting some more Aggies down here, okay? Von Miller's an Aggie, so it's good with me. Jonah Coleman, pass, short, and low ceiling. Dang. I thought he would. Dang. Really? It's okay, man. All right. Let me turn on this AC real quick. It's getting hot. You guys got me fired up. You guys got me fired up. They've done and said absolutely nothing. Well said. Jacoby Lane is the type of wide receiver Sean can get him in the third. Yeah, and I don't think he ran very well either, right? So, yeah, he could definitely be available in the third, fourth round. Man, but I love Jonah Coleman, man. Short and low. I don't think being short's bad for a running back, though. Low ceiling, I don't know, man. The man was very productive. And yeah, I don't know, man. I just like his game. I like how it looks with Jonah Coleman. I like how you're always very, very few negative plays with him. Nick Singleton is the running back we need. I'm warming more up to Nick Singleton. For a mid-round guy, I'm cool with it. Did A.J. Brown get traded yet? No. Jacoby Lane ran a 4.4? Oh, my God. I'm going to look at his RAS right now. Dude, I was not expecting this. Dude, thanks for bringing this up, Chuck. Jacoby Lane with a 9.69 unofficial RAS. Ran a 4.47. Okay. 40-inch vertical. 10-foot 9-inch broad. And 6'4". Yeah, Jacoby Lane could be fun, man. There are some of these mid to late round wide receivers that I think would be a lot of fun to take a shot on. All right, good question, Matthew. Would you rather trade for a star wide receiver right now or save capital and trade up for better players in the draft? I'd rather trade for a star wide receiver right now, and I'll tell you why. Because this is a Super Bowl window. You need somebody that's going to step in and produce right away. Outside of Bo Nix, we just haven't shown that, I don't know, with a lot of our top picks that they will guaranteed to have a role in this offense moving forward, man, or in the defense last year when it came to Jahdae Barron. So I feel like it's kind of risky if you're pinning your Super Bowl hopes and getting your team over the edge on making sure you not only like hitting the draft like on the majority of these picks, but that you're hitting to the degree where a handful of them are impact players for you in a Super Bowl year. I don't know. I'd rather go out and get proven talent. That's just me, though. What about Joe Mixon as a number 2? Well, in this case, I would be I mean, if we bring him back as like a Jaleel McLaughlin fill-in, I'm cool with that. Obviously they're two-way different players. Mike Washington would be freaking amazing. Why are the Broncos making no moves? Dude, Shy, your guess is as good as mine, man. We're just trying to get on here and talk about it, man. George Payton has never made an offseason splash. I don't know, man. I think when you go back a few years, obviously Russell Wilson, that was a splash. It didn't work out. We gave him his own office. Bad luck. I think Mike McGlinchey was a splash signing, and I think that's really worked out. Ben Powers was a splash signing. I think generally that's worked out. Maybe not ever playing to the value of that deal, but again, I think it's a signing that I would have made again. I think last year, man, the signings that we made of Greenlaw, Ingram, Hufanga, I think all of us were pumped up about those as being like really great signings. Greenlaw isn't with the team. whatever. That sucks. Ingram, nah. But I think he's on a deal that's fine right now for what he produced this past year. I think Huff was, a fantastic signing. Man, he might have been our defensive MVP last year. Bro, you are crashing out these last 2 days. Yes. You better relax. No. I don't think the Broncos are going to sign anyone exciting. Just take a deep breath and know retaining our own affordable deals is a win too. I don't know if these guys are exactly on affordable deals. That's kind of the main issue I have. I think we're overpaying to keep our own talent. To me, it gives me Calvin Booth vibes. But here's the thing about me, Joe. You're always going to get my opinion. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. That's just who I am, man. And that's also what makes this fun. So enjoy the Jekyll and Hyde. That's fun. Yeah. Very few people are talking about the loss of JFM and how that's a net negative. I don't really know. I know that some guys have brought up the idea, kind of in our YouTube space, the idea of Logan Hall from Tampa Bay coming out here. He seems like a decent guy that can at least be like a spot starter for us, but I don't think he's anywhere near the player JFM is. And, I do like what we've seen out of Awazarike. And honestly, I do feel like Malcolm Roach can fill in that role fine with Awazarike. Do we lose some with it? Yeah, but I do think the floor is still pretty high there with the group that we got. Again, like Malcolm Roach had, in my opinion, the best year of his career, and he showed some like pass rushing chops this past year that he hasn't necessarily shown beforehand. So we'll see what Savion Jones can do. He's kind of like the biggest wild card, but even if Savion Jones isn't a starter for you this year, I still feel like you can get, not to the level that we saw last year, of course, with JFM, but I think the defensive line can still be strong enough and good enough. Now, if we go and draft, this would be great. Like if we take care of our needs through the trade and, free agency, what's left of it, and we get a weapon, we round out the running back room somehow. Dominique Orange, man. I think Dominique Orange would be awesome here from Iowa State. I think he can play, along the entire defensive line. That man is athletic. He's twitchy. He's a little bit bigger than, I believe he's over 300 pounds. Let me look this up right now. Yeah, he's like 325. So he's like significantly bigger than most of the guys that we got on the defensive line. But he doesn't move like he's 325, man. He moves like a guy that is a little bit lighter than that. I'm a fan of Dominique Orange. Now, Andy, he's much more into the scouting than I am. So take his opinion more seriously than mine. He does have questions for his fit on the defensive line, but I think he can play that JFM role. That's just me. Great question here. Thoughts on the rumors of us trading Kamara for a 6th round pick? Man, I'd be cool with this, but we don't have a 6th round pick this year. We got 3 7ths and we got a 5th. So, I guess we could trade a future 6th round pick for him. I mean, I guess that would be cool. Let me go pick up Alvin Kamara. He was still productive, but his cap hit might just be too big at this juncture. I assume that J.K. Dobbins' cap hit, because this first year is like pretty much all guaranteed, right? At $8 million with some incentive. I mean, he's going to have a high cap hit, won't he? Unless we're putting void years on this thing. But this past year, let's see what he did. Still productive, but not, it's not sexy anymore with Alvin Kamara. If you bring him in a supplemental role, I guess I'd still be cool with it, depending on what his cap hit is. We'll look at it. But this past year, 3.6 yards per carry, 471 yards. He had a touchdown, 11 games played. Most of this year was under Spencer Rattler, which was kind of a disaster. But receiving, man. I did bring him up like a couple weeks ago as a possible trade target. Or like if he's cut, you bring him in for like a vet minimum, but I don't know. With J.K. Dobbins' injury history, like, okay, if you bring in Breece Hall or you draft Mike Washington Jr. with R.J. Harvey, like, I'm cool with having Alvin Kamara here for a cheap number as like that third back is like insurance. But with J.K. Dobbins, not knowing once game 8 hits, how long he's got left for the season, I just don't know if you can invest in capital to somebody that you're just betting won't totally fall off the cliff this year. Let me see what his cap hit is if the Broncos trade for him. 1 second. And I think he did restructure his deal, so I don't know if these things will be that accurate. Give it a second to load. They say Kamara's going to retire. Yeah, he said that he doesn't want to play anywhere else than New Orleans. Let's see here. Let's make a trade. Going to trade with New Orleans. Cameron Jordan's contract voids today. But again, he's not really a fit for what we need right now. Okay. If we trade for him right now with this restructure, it's $500,000. I mean, that is sure. I'll give you a 7th round pick or just straight up cash considerations. I know that's not a thing in the NFL. But for $500,000 on the cap, sure, he can be our RB3. Crashing out? Yes. Relax? No. Why did we resign J.K. Dobbins? He's injury prone. I understand why we re-signed J.K. Dobbins. I don't understand why we made him really a priority, some of these other guys, but in a vacuum, I'm happy to have him back. A day sleeping on it, I'm not as upset about the $8 million. It's still an overpay, but whatever. Trade for Achane, this would be amazing. Miami would be insane to do that, though. We just spent a premium pick on a running back last year. Why do it again? Because we still need a premier running back. So, and I don't think that pick 62 is really a premier pick on a running back, to be honest. If we use maybe pick 50, like a top 50 pick on a running back, I would count that as a premier pick. Like what we did with Javonte Williams, man. Like we traded up for him. But pick 62 for a running back, man, that's 2 picks away from being a 3rd round pick, man. Like, yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't really make sense to bring in Kamara here after signing JK. Now, Chris Rodriguez, yes. Chris Rodriguez could be fun as an RB3. Let me go ahead and pull up his. And I like him better than Sean Tucker. Because why? Because this man is 6 feet, 224 pounds, man. Chris Rodriguez. Nice back. Here we go. 2025. Oh, we're looking at the receiving. Let's get to the rushing, man. 500 yards on 4.5 yards per carry. Washington sucked. He had 6 touchdowns. Yes, please. Yards after contact, 3.46. That's very good. Now, he caught three receptions this year for 30 yards. So you still need to sign another pass catcher as your 4th running back or draft somebody. But I do like Chris Rodriguez, baby, especially if J.K. Dobbins goes down. And Chris Rodriguez, yes, and you could sign him for cheap. Now, let's just compare him with Sean Tucker. 5'9", 210 pounds, 3.7 yards per carry, rushing this year, 7 touchdowns. No fumbles or 1 fumble. That's fine. Caught 8 receptions on 11 targets for 34 yards. So, damn, dude. Neither of these guys are going to be in the passing game, but that's probably why they're, like tier 4 running backs right now in like free agency. Or like, running backs 3s or 4s. Hell, Austin Eckler sounds a little bit better right now. I know he's coming off an Achilles, right? So his career's over, but who else we got in terms of like free agents that could be available here? Let me go see. We're gonna have some fun with this. I'm gonna go available. Hey, Tyreek Hill's available. I'm kidding. Joe Mixon could be cool. What was his injury last year? Let me see. His injury was a mysterious foot injury. Okay, never mind. Brian Robinson, he's great. I doubt Rachaad White comes here because he's going to want like a real role. Okay. I'll do it. I will do it. I will do it. I would sign Najee Harris to be our running back 3. I would do it. I know he's injury prone too. I know he tore his Achilles. But you can get him on a sweetheart vet minimum deal this year. I still believe in Najee Harris. Call me crazy. But I'm not paying anything more than like $2 million for Najee Harris. Emmanuel Wilson. This is a great idea. Yeah, all these guys that you guys are mentioning are better than Najee Harris. I can't believe we cut Emmanuel Wilson for Julian McLaughlin, man. What are we doing? Yeah, well, let's take a look at Emmanuel Wilson's stats in 1 second. Let me find him. Does he only have 1 M in his first name? Dude. Okay. Rushing. 4.0 yards per carry. He had 4.7 his rookie year, 4.8 in 2024. 3 touchdowns, 1 fumble. Yeah, but essentially 500 yards this year. Yards after contact, 3.06. And yeah, 6'1", 226. This guy's a freaking beast. And he caught 15 of 16 targets for 99 yards. All right. Again, he's probably not going to be he's not going to give you these huge receiving plays, but it seems like he's capable of catching the ball. All right. Fort Valley State Wildcats, never even heard of that college. But look at this, guys. He was originally signed to us as a UDFA 3 years ago. And we're like, nah, give us Jaleel. Oh. Emmanuel Wilson. Let's right our wrongs, man. Who else is available that's good? Damian Pierce. He's not necessarily good anymore. I was always like a slut for Julian Chestnut, but he's never done anything. Would not hate Hassan Haskins. What did Miles Sanders do this past year with the Cowboys? Let me go ahead and see. Oh, God. Did he get hurt? But he had 5.9 yards per attempt. I do like Miles Sanders, even though you did have a fumble there week 1. What was his injury? Due to severe knee and ankle injuries. He required surgery for a chondral tissue graft in his left knee. I don't even know what that means. But yeah, if you sign him for like close to a vet minimum, I'm cool with that. What about Darnell Mooney? That would be cheap. Oh, man. I would have rather had Travis Etienne for Darnell Mooney money, man. The Broncos said 13 million was crazy. No, I don't really want Darnell Mooney here. But I mean, he can make big plays. He's probably a better route runner than Marvin Mims, right? Maybe I'm just still wanting to see what Marvin Mims can do with Davis Webb. But I mean, he's still like Darnell Mooney's a quality football player. Yeah, he has best years in Chicago, yeah, but oh damn, his first year in Atlanta, almost 1,000 yards. Then it fell off the rails this year, but Atlanta was a disaster. Okay, all right, I don't necessarily hate it. I mean, I'll tell you this: give me Darnell Mooney over freaking Kendrick Bourne every single time. Oh man, that's what Landeskog had. Yeah, that was like a 2.5 year rehab, wasn't it? Now, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you know this, but I just gotta say it. I'm the same exact age as Gabe Landeskog. We share the same birthday. Yeah, Pacheco signed with the Lions, or he was traded. Man. But yeah, Sonny, I think I saw you earlier say something about Sonny Styles. Yeah, we got no hope in getting him. It's over, fellas. The offseason was a failure. Well, with our first at bat, I'll say this, Chris. We struck out, man. We struck out. But we got a few more at bats before we get to the draft. We could still make some signings here that I think would help improve the roster. Now, do I think we go out and sign another veteran linebacker? No, because they're not going to want to play behind Alex Singleton and Justin Sternad. Do I see us signing a David Njoku or Dallas Goedert? No, but I'd be freaking pumped if we got one of those guys. But I feel like we're kind of done right now at that position. I think we could still make a move for a top weapon, which is what we started talking about on this show when I started an hour ago. But in terms of signings, we can sign a third string running back, and we can sign a wide receiver like Jawan Jennings. That's really the only guy out there that I'm cool with signing for this team. Hey, you share a birthday with Sean Payton, but he's got me by 12 years. All right, what's your zodiac sign? Tell us what Sean Payton's doing. How about we draft Mike Washington Jr., Jadarian Price, or Katrin Allen? I'm great with any of those picks. I would like to use our first round pick elsewhere, ideally. But if one of those guys are there at 30, maybe you just do that, and then you go and trade up in the second round for an offensive lineman for somebody, man. What about the great Drew Sanders? Yeah, I guess he's on this team because his cap hit's like $1 million, but if you're cutting Dre Greenlaw because he wasn't available for half the year, what the hell are we doing, man? Still trying to make this thing for Drew Sanders work. Yeah, it would take forever. It would take all of our assets to move up for an inside linebacker. That's just horrible asset management. We're not going to be doing that. And I would prefer for us not to draft at 30 an inside linebacker. If we do it, okay. But they're not. We're not taking Alex Singleton off the field this year. We're not taking him off the field on third down. That's why we had a lot of issues on third down. With Justin Sternad being here, though, maybe there's some way in which you're subbing Sternad off. But the issue is that you only got 40 seconds, right, between plays. You can't get Sternad to the sideline to then put on a green dot helmet to then come back on the field to be the third down sole linebacker on there to call the defense. Some of the logistics about this, it's just not great. But again, there's plenty of linebackers that I feel like we could pick throughout the draft. There should be guys available in the second round. I like the kid from Pitt. I like the kid from Cincinnati. You guys know Jack Kelly from BYU is like one of my guys. Bryce Betcher, all those guys could be available there with our 4th-round pick or our 5th-round pick that I think could be guys that end up playing a nice role for our defense in the future. Yeah, I mean, at this point, we need weapons. I would be okay with a 1-year deal for Debo. Does anyone realize that there are 4 teams that didn't sign anyone off of other teams yesterday? Us, Seattle, Philadelphia, Jacksonville. Do you see anything similar here? All winning teams. Yeah, and like they're also all playing like the comp pick formula stuff. Again, it's hard for me to say like, okay, look what Philadelphia's done. Well, in order for them to become Super Bowl champions, man, they really did take some big swings on some guys and it worked out. Like for them to win the Super Bowl, they went out and signed freaking Saquon Barkley. They went out and got AJ Brown and then got to a Super Bowl, man. So yes, like Philadelphia is in a different place than where they were at 2 years ago. But I just think some of these other media companies are talking about how teams that never make big splashes in free agency don't go on to win the Super Bowl. I think that's kind of a little too much spin, man. Like I don't really agree with it. You saw New England spend like crazy last year. They also had a lot of cap space and it got them to the Super Bowl. Yeah, again, you want to look at the Eagles, tell me that they didn't make a big splash signing before their Super Bowl championship. That's just flat out wrong. Saquon Barkley was incredibly important. Now, yeah, and it's like, here's the thing. We're not even asking them to go out and spend $50 million, $60 million. We just wanted some slight upgrades to some of these guys that we know just don't have the ceiling to get it done. So, yeah. Sign Breece Hall, not Pickens. Dude, if we could work out a trade with the Jets for Breece Hall, that would be exciting. He's an all-pro talent. I think he's a Hall of Fame talent. Yeah. Nick Singleton would be great. They signed Saquon in free agency. They straight up signed him. Maybe I still don't get it, man. All I'm saying is that, I think we all can agree, man. We weren't better yesterday. We did not get better as a team yesterday. Maybe we kept the floor from falling out at some of these positions. Maybe we minimized our risk there. Kind of more of a floor play with bringing some of these guys back. But now we got to go get some upside players, okay? And there's still plenty of ways to do it. Trade court for Jettas. As much as I would love this, man, the Vikings eat $70 million in dead cap if they trade Justin Jefferson this year. I don't know what this is supposed to mean. If you notice, the last several years, the Broncos have had white inside linebackers. What does this mean? I mean, there's plenty of white inside linebackers throughout the entire NFL. What are we trying to say, man? That we only want white guys calling the defense? Man, I don't know. But, Justice Sardad's not white. I think he's a quality player, man. But, I did just bring up Jack Kelly from BYU. Njoku and Goddard are still available. They're way better than the garbage we signed yesterday. Yes, I would agree. I would love Dallas Goddard on here. David Njoku would be a lot of fun. If we are paying Adam Troutman to be our tight end 3 at $6.5 million, I will live with it if we still get a guy that can play above him. And you even saw Mike Kliss today backtrack on the spin he put out about Adam Troutman, calling him one of the best blocking tight ends. Stokely called him out on it. He's like, yeah. He's like, I think the Broncos see him as a good blocker, not a great blocker. Yeah. Because they feel like they're smarter. Oh, maybe. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if that tracks, man. I don't know if I can get behind that. Exactly, you're making the point because you feel like he's a leader because they feel like they're smarter, I guess. I mean, again, I think ideally I was hoping that Justin Sternad or Dre Greenlaw would have, be that green dot guy for us this year. And Justin Sternad has shown that he can do that just fine. But yeah, we did have Josie Jewell, Alex Singleton. We drafted Standers, Lavelle Bailey, Greenlaw. I don't know, man. I think we got plenty of black linebackers on the team right now. Maybe we need to give more of them an opportunity, though. Lavelle Bailey, Jordan Turner. I don't know, man. I think that this is a tough one to see, man. I don't really think there's white supremacy issues with our linebacker room. I think we just more so have an evaluation issue and an unwillingness to want to give up trust to certain guys. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think so either, man. Now Jacob Rodriguez, man, he'd be sick. He's white. He's got a great mustache. I like Jacob Rodriguez. I like all these linebackers because they're so much better than what we got. They provide so much more ceiling. So we'll see what they can do. Guys. Oh, God, here we go again. I had a conversation with an NFL coordinator. Dude, I'm not offended. I just don't agree with your opinion. Let's see here. All right, guys. I guess we don't got any more news. But to circle back to the beginning of this video, one thing that hasn't changed throughout free agency is that all the trade targets, all the trade rumor guys, they're still available. George Pickens, A.J. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr. Go get one of those guys. Go get one of those guys. Jalen Waddle, I guess. But with his low cap hit, I would imagine Miami just tries to keep it. I mean, Malik Willis needs a weapon, right? So we'll have to see. But I appreciate every single one of you guys. I'll be back if there's more breaking news. Yeah. Hopefully we sign somebody. So appreciate every single one of you. Y'all have a great day. It can only get better from here, hopefully. Hopefully.